face. My eyes were beginning to swell with blood. I thought the beating was over, but next came the hailstorm of milkshakes, eggs, and other hard objects at my face and head. The mob roared in laughter as I stumbled away. A crowd of cameramen surrounded and followed me. I thought they were going to offer to help, but they just took photos and video. "Effing own bitch!" shouted a local transsexual Antifa militant and a member of the satanic Portland anti-fascists. I walked away, half-blinded, to the county courthouse across Lonsdale Square before losing my balance. Later, in the emergency room of the Oregon Health and Science University Hospital, I found out my brain was hemorrhaging. Outside of the Multnomah County Justice Center, the building that houses the Central Police Precinct, the sheriff's office, and courtrooms, I was nearly killed by a violent mob. At no point did police intervene to help. Mobile phone footage recorded by Jim Ryan, a news reporter with the Oregonian, Portland's newspaper of record, captured part of the beating. While I was in the emergency room, the video was being watched hundreds of thousands of times on social media. My name began to trend on Twitter across the United States, even though most people had no idea who I was. Even liberal mainstream media outlets like the New York Times, the BBC, and CNN could not ignore what happened. In contrast to the narrative Americans had been sold that Antifa are merely anti-fascists, the video showed a mob of mask-clad extremists beating a journalist in the middle of a major American city with impunity. It confirmed what some had been warning for years. Antifa is a violent extremist movement that attacks all kinds of targets under the guise of anti-fascism. Though my assault that day received national and international attention, I was hardly the only one to be brutally attacked. Adam Kelly, 37, was hit from behind with an overhead swing by several masked militants as he attempted to help an older man being beaten on the ground next to the Pioneer Courthouse. One of Kelly's attackers used a baton to strike him on the head. The impact could actually be heard on video. Kelly's head injury required 25 staples to close. He and I were treated in the same emergency department, but we didn't know it at the time. He was lucky to survive. Gage Halapowski, a 24-year-old Portland resident, was convicted and sentenced for the attack against Kelly. To date, he remains one of the very few Antifa extremists in the United States sentenced to prison time. Tellingly, Antifa groups refer to him as a political prisoner. In total, 8 were injured that day. 3, including myself, required hospitalization. Rose City Antifa, the Portland Antifa group, claimed responsibility for the attacks. "The events of this weekend are what we mean by community defense," the organization said in a statement on its website. "This is exactly what should happen when the far right attempts to invade our town." This was a rare moment of honesty for an Antifa organization that otherwise spreads disinformation and propaganda. If it isn't clear yet, violence is a feature, not a bug, of Antifa's ideology. In fact, they venerate violence. Since 2015, untold numbers of victims, including other journalists, have been doxxed, beaten, robbed, or killed by Antifa militants. Few of them receive media attention or justice. For whatever reason, the violence on June 29, 2019, in Portland became one of the watershed moments that brought national attention to Antifa violence and the left-wing politicians who enabled it, despite many people having been victimized before me. For example, 2 Marine reservists visiting Philadelphia in November 2018 were jumped after being mistaken for Proud Boys by Antifa. Alejandro Godinez and Luis Torres.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.